Hi, this is Ivica Cartello. Welcome to You Are Architect, Developer. Your occupation is architecture. You are software architect. Let's get to the point. From simplest one example, counter, to less simple, like here, you will see same architecture. And you must learn, you must know, you must automatically have in your head image of that architecture. Let's get started. Counter. Architecture. Here is the simplest one example. Counter. Architecture. At first, we have import. Always would be import use selector and use dispatch on this component, React component. When we have a Redux. Import use selector and use dispatch. It is two hooks who connect React component with Redux. And always we have import action from counter slice. Here is two action, increment, decrement. Okay. After that, you have export function counter. And what is interesting in architecture is this. All code, all JavaScript coming here in a block. It is a block. Curly brackets, inside curly brackets. It is a block. What is block? Block is part of the software, isolate part of the software, where variable born and variable die inside that block. And the result of borning and dying that variable, we have something. We have some value on the screen. From this block, here is from this block, we will have from this block we will have this on the screen, decrement, increment. It means that inside that block we must have a button decrement, button increment, and we must have this variable point, a variable count, we call that count. Button decrement, increment, and variable count. Variable count coming from a Redux. It is from store and coming with the hook use selector. Use selector give that value, that state value of counter. Count, we call that count. Decrement must have that button. There is an argument, it is HTML element button, and must have argument on click equal dispatch action creator decrement. Here must be argument on click equal dispatch action creator increment. I think I say all, but variable what we need must be declared at first inside block. Inside block. Let's get seeded. Repeat. Inside this block, I must declare all variable what I need, and at first, and after that, create a visual part. It is return, and parentheses. Inside parentheses is HTML elements. Okay. Here it is. At first, we declare a variable count, and that variable count use selector, and parameter of use selector is function. It is hooks a function. One of function is use selector. All what begin with use is hooks. Hooks is function. Use selector is function what connect component, React component with store, with Redux store. And that use selector for parameter, there is a arrow function. Parameter of our arrow function is state, and body of arrow function is state.counter.value. Concretely state counter dot value of that counter, and it will be 0, -1, +1, +2, +3, etc. Count. In count we see 0, 1, -1, etc. Okay, we declare that. You look at inside curly brackets, constant count. And second, declare dispatch object. Dispatch object equal function use dispatch equal hook use dispatch. Use dispatch contrary. Take value from component, React component, and give it to reducer in store, Redux store. And dispatch, object dispatch equal function use dispatch will be method of store. Okay. We need to declare that to variable. Count, we need that we see changes of that we see that 0, 1, 2, it is state. Value of counter, state.counter value. Return. Return always in parentheses, inside parentheses. There is HTML visible part, HTML part, but it is language JSX, JavaScript extension or JavaScript XML, and that language is a mix of HTML and JavaScript. Here it is. When we have more statement, like here 3 statement, we must incorporate parents parents HTML element. Here is div. Div. It can be fractal, and we spoke about fractal also. And if we don't need div, we can write fractal. When we write fractal in our HTML construction, there is no node. There is nothing. There is no HTML element. Fractal means will be no, not be, would not be HTML elements, div. And it is better if we don't need element, we don't incorporate it. Okay, all right. Here it is. We have two buttons. One button, second button. Between them, we have a count, variable count. Here it is. Variable count in curly brackets. And it means variable declare here and exist, and because of that go in curly brackets. H1 and closed H1 tag is heading, the biggest heading here that better see state count. This first button, on click is argument of element button, equal, on click equal in curly brackets, because all inside it we have declared before. We have declared dispatch, and we have declared decrement in slice component. In slice, about slice, I will spoke detail also architecture after series of architecture on counter and other component, React component. I spoke about architecture on React component, and in next series of video I spoke about architecture of slice. It is Redux, reducers. Okay, button, argument on click equal arrow function. This is arrow function, and argument of that arrow function is empty, nothing. In body of that arrow function we have dispatch. Dispatch, we call that object, but we call that object equal function. Dispatch here is function. It is a method of store. Dispatch, and the parameter of dispatch is decrement. Decrement is action creator. Action creator. And that action creator, there is no parameter. And here is the decrement, what we see, what will be visible on the button. And closed tag, HTML tag of element button. Dispatch decrement. Here is a count, and this button, argument on click, in curly brackets, arrow function parameter empty. In body of arrow function we have dispatch method, dispatch function, and parameter of that dispatch function is increment. It is action creator. It's all. It's all. And how I teach, but I am expert. I have lot of playing in teaching, in learning, in teaching and learning. But how I learn, how I teach myself. I study and look at on that screen and try. I know I have a vision in my image in my head, React-Redux. You know that dispatch action to reducer. It is one input, action, and second input in reducer is state, original state, and output is new state. From original state to new state, Redux must change state on immutable kind. And I have that picture from when new state created and go out from the reducer, use a selector, listening, and compare original state, and old state, and if it is new, is it different? If it is different, he activate rendering of that state, and we have new state on the screen. Use a selector, use a selector control, does it new, does it different from original, and activate a rendering of that new state. I have that whole picture, but now I study architecture of this counter.js component, React component. Import use selector, use dispatch, import increment decrement from counter slice, you see, from counter slice. This is from React-Redux. And function, export function counter, at first declare what I need, use selector, use dispatch. And after that, inside return, I use JavaScript extension language and scripting, coding this three statement, because there is more than one statement. I must have parent around. Here is a fractal parents, and button here, on click is event, JavaScript event, here is on clicked. Dispatch is a method of store, we declare that. Decrement here is action creator, we declare that in counter slice. And here is on click argument of button, but on click is JavaScript event also. Dispatch increment creator, action creator, and it's all for this. Yeah, I look at it, thinking about it, and understand it. I understand it. And after understanding it, I want to write it, right? Without watching in this. And I look at, I have image in my head, I have architecture, and always architecture means that we always script like this. Always import what we need. Always export function counter or other name, and inside always first declare variable what we need, and after that return JavaScript extension, create that script. Again, architecture, import, export, inside JavaScript extension. What I want to see on the screen. Look at, and you know what I do now? I take white paper A4. It is from microphone. I take white paper. I have on the table block of the white paper, and I enjoy with pen, by hand, write coding. And I write without looking in screen. I try, at first, I create a layout of architecture. I say, okay, first is import, second is function, export function, and inside curly brackets, first go variable, declaration of variable, must be use selector and use dispatch. I must connect component and Redux. It is by hooks use selector and use dispatch connection between Redux and React component. Because of that, use selector and use dispatch coming from React-Redux. They connect React-Redux. Data flow by use selector and use dispatch. Data flowing from dispatch to reducer and from reducer to use selector. After that, layout, import, export function, return, declaration of variable, and return, and in parentheses must go JSX. After that layout, I start on other paper, write concretely code. Import, use selector, use dispatch, import, increment, decrement, export function counter, parentheses, curly brackets, constant. And after I writing it, I look at it, I think, does it some error? And okay, I control by look at screen. And I find error. When I find error, I know where I have error, and thinking again, look at in screen and write again on the paper. Again and again and again, writing by hand, understanding before, but writing, and after 2, 3, 4, 10, 20, I know coding architecture. I know architecture, I coding architecture. Architecture is in every job there is architecture. Architecture is contrary of spaghetti code. Spaghetti code, when you think what you need and you coding variable this, variable that, variable this, variable that, variable bond, variable die, and we create variable by variable. They bond, they die, you assign them value, assign them value, assign them value, and programs working excellent. Somebody to motivate you, lot of sites say, okay, it is good. You know coding. Every program is good when work, but they write partially, because it is very good for motivation. You understand what is a variable, you excellent use that variable, and this is. But I ask you now, who can control that code? Do you can control that code, your code? Not for months, 2, 3 months, for 1 year, but tomorrow, or same day afternoon. You cannot, you don't remember your code. You have not picture, you have no image in your head. Nobody can control it. And you cannot repeat that control. And we can say the definition of architecture, software architecture, is this construction. It is coding what you can repeat and repeat and repeat with closed eyes. And if you can repeat and repeat and repeat in closed eyes, also can other your team players, and everybody in every moment can sit down for your table and continue where you stop from some reason. Everybody can continue, and you can continue after everybody. Everybody can help you and find error, because you write by architecture. When a team goes to create some software, first they decided what architecture. And we now learn architecture of React, and this is page of counter.js, and I look at a lot of time on this page. This is simple possible example of React-Redux, and I know right on the paper this code what you see now. This code will be, address of that code will be in description below video, and you clone this application and play and look at this code. If you want to work as developer, as you want to have a satisfied sailor, and if you want to enjoy in coding, you must know architecture, and write on the paper that architecture closed eye. Always learn from zero. It is empty page and ahead. First import, second export function, and inside that function, first declaration, declare variables. After that, return what you want to see, HTML element and JavaScript. In the next video, I will talk. I will learn architecture of other example, and after series of video, in every video you will see that same architecture, always same architecture. And knowing architecture means knowing programming, knowing coding, knowing contribute with colleague in team. Means knowing architecture, means knowing help colleague, and that colleague can help you. You can discuss about any problems. And you know now process, and if you want to know closed-eye coding, you can do what I do and what I just talk about. Architecture. You are architecture. Your occupation is architecture. Developer. You are architect. Thank you for watching this video. If you know that this video can help somebody else, say about that, share about that, comment, click like. All that is engagement and help to me as author of this video, but also other who look at this video. Bye, to next time.